They clapped for him louder than anyone else. But when the lights went out and the crowd disappeared, he realized his trophy was empty. This is the story of Arin, a young man who discovered that true success doesn't need to be seen to shine. In the heart of a glowing city called Lumora, every year people gathered for something grand, the Festival of Skills. It was more than a contest. It was the stage where dreams were tested and pride was measured. Arin, a quiet craftsman, signed up, not to prove anything to others but to challenge himself. He loved his craft, simple tools, honest work, the joy of creation. But his rival Dax was different. Dax lived for attention. He loved the sound of applause more than the sound of progress. When he worked, he made sure everyone saw it. Every hammer strike was a performance, every movement exaggerated to draw the crowd's gaze. And the people adored it. They shouted his name, they filmed his every move, and Dax soaked it all in. Arin, on the other hand, worked quietly. No drama. No show. Just focus. He believed that mastery speaks louder than noise. When judges passed by, he didn't look up or boast. He simply smiled and kept working, letting his craft tell his story. When the final day arrived, the results came in. Dax had won. The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. Confetti fell like rain. Arin stood there, not disappointed but strangely peaceful. He smiled, clapped for Dax, and quietly packed his tools. He knew his journey wasn't about a trophy. It was about growth. But Dax couldn't stop celebrating. He held his trophy high, shouting to everyone who would listen. He basked in the spotlight, soaking up every drop of fame. And yet, when the festival ended and the city moved on to other things, Dax returned home, to silence. No crowd. No cameras. Just an empty workshop echoing with the memory of applause. Meanwhile, Arin returned to his forge, small, warm, and quiet. Day after day he kept creating. His hands moved with care, his heart calm and steady. No one was watching, but that didn't matter. He wasn't chasing recognition. He was chasing refinement. Perfection. Months passed. And without realizing it, Arin's designs began to spread. His tools and creations started appearing everywhere. In markets, homes, workshops, all across Lumora. People loved them. They used them every day, never knowing the name of the craftsman behind them. And Arin was fine with that. His reward was seeing his work serve others. Then one morning a knock came at his door. When he opened it, he was surprised to see Dax. The once famous showman now looked tired, older, and quieter. He stepped inside Arin's humble workshop, his eyes scanning the shelves filled with beautifully crafted tools and designs. There was a stillness in that space, the kind that comes only from peace. Dax sat down and finally spoke. "How did you do it?" he asked. "You never showed off. You never shouted for attention. Yet, everyone uses your work now. Everyone depends on it." Arin smiled softly. He wiped his hands and said, "Because I wasn't chasing the crowd. I was chasing the craft." Dax looked around once more, and in that silence, something inside him shifted. He realized the noise he'd once chased was never real. The applause had vanished, but Arin's quiet impact had remained. That night, Dax returned home. He placed his trophy on the table, the same trophy that once made him feel invincible. He looked at it closely. It was shining, but empty. Then his eyes drifted to a small tool Arin had made, simple, strong, beautifully balanced. It wasn't shining under any spotlight, yet it glowed with purpose. For the first time, Dax understood. Success isn't about being seen. It's about being useful. It's about what you create when no one's watching. The world might celebrate noise, but it's silence that builds legacies. So if you ever feel unseen, if your efforts go unnoticed, remember Arin's story. Greatness doesn't shout. It whispers, quietly, patiently, and truthfully. Work in silence. Let your results speak for you. Because in the end, applause fades, but purpose echoes forever. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that quiet success is still success. And sometimes the brightest light shines when no one's looking.